Heidi and I are going to demonstrate how we can teach our dog to do some different positions on a hand cue. So when we first taught them various positions when they were a puppy, it started usually with a piece of food in our hand, and we'd lure the position that we wanted and then pay the dog their treat whilst they're in that position. What we tend to do as things go on, we tend to use our verbal cue, but we still seem to use our hand signals. I think it's more a human thing that we describe everything using our body language at the same time. The best way to have a verbal cue and a hand signal is to keep them both separately at all times. So I've got a piece of food in my hand here, and I'm just going to show you how I would have lured a puppy down or Heidi into a down position in the very first place. So I'm hoping she will follow the food. She's not used to being lured with food, so sometimes she paws at my hand, so that's not part of this demonstration. So I'm going to see what she does. So, ready? Nice. So that did, very good, that did start with my hand kind of pointing downwards to the ground, and that eventually morphed into me going like that, which means lie down. So when we want the dog to stand up, what we might have done when the puppy was younger was literally bring a piece of food in front of the nose, up and forward until the dog's in a stand. It's a very tiny movement, but the dog will notice what your hand was doing at that time. Good girlie. So when we play around with these cues, we want to make sure that we make them concise and clear every time. So I'm going to use the behaviours down and sit and stand, back up, play, bow and roll over. So when you're teaching your dog your hand signal, if you haven't already got one, so for back up for instance, I was doing some dancing with dogs fun classes, and I chose to use this as my move to go to signal to the dog to go backwards. So she already has the back up cue, so if I do my wriggly arms movement first and then say back up, she will soon learn that that means back up. So should we give it a try? You're a good girlie. Ready? Here then. Good girl. You ready? Nice. Good girl. So I've just warmed her up to that, so I just want to do it how I would have done it if I was introducing that cue. I would have gone like, stand silly, I'd have gone like that, back up, good. And I'll say back up after the cue had begun, which was my wriggling arms, okay? Back up, nice, clever. Until eventually they realise that that is back up, okay? So another one would be spin, which is an anti-clockwise circle for Heidi. So Heidi, are you ready? Come here, sweetie, you ready? Spin, nice. Okay, so I do my hand signal first, then I say my verbal cue. Good girl. So let's see if she can do a back up followed by a spin. Yeah. Nice, clever. Okay, so they soon get the hang of this, but you must practice, otherwise they'll probably wonder if you suddenly do these things randomly, it gets a little bit confusing for them. So that was just another one I thought of as I was doing this demo, because spin is something that we did in the novice trick classes. Good girlie. So the other one would be the SIT. Sit. Good. And you would simply repeat that a few times until that means sit, and then you can lift off your verbal cue. So always do your hand signal first, then your verbal cue, if it's the hand signals that you want your dog to remember. So for this exercise, for your intermediate trick title, you can do 6 behaviours and then reward the dog in between. And that will work well because it will keep the dog motivated throughout. So let's see that in action. Okay, Heidi. Nice. Okay, so the stand might have come from a hand target in the very first place as well. That's another way of looking at it. So I'm going to do a play bow here. And then a stand. Nice. Good. Nice. Clever girly. Good. Nice. So I've got carried away there because she likes doing this, because she likes a puzzle to solve. So it's your visual cue followed by your verbal cue as a hint in the very early days, and then you're going to lift off your verbal cue altogether and see if they can just do the hand signal. But allow a second or two for them to suss out what you're trying to communicate, so that they have time to process the information before you start hinting too quickly. And then that way it gives them the opportunity to get it right, and you will empower them by doing that. So that was really good. You're very clever. Good girlie. Shall we see if she can do a roll over? She might remember this. She hasn't done it for a week or so. So again, bear that in mind as well. So I'm going to do it from the down. Lovely, well done. She did remember it. So I do practice these things on and off. I don't expect my dog to suddenly remember something. Well done. Good girlie. I don't expect them to suddenly remember these things. I do practice things a lot. And I think it's fun for your dog to keep all their cues polished so that you can keep them empowered and happy. So enjoy that, and remember that you can reward in between the exercises, and don't do anything that the dog doesn't already know. It's much easier to do with behaviour that your dog already knows. Write down what you want to do, and then you can glance at it as you're doing it, and then you can fit all 6 into one video if you want to. So have fun, and see you soon. Good girl.